Okay, cool. So now we're going to start to look at this big bracket of steering and some of the inputs that we're going to be looking at to enable the board to steer. And we're going to sort of look at those individually and break them down. So what I want to start off with is some pressure control in terms of our fore and aft movement. And in basics, that's really talking about how we're initiating a turn, so pressure of fore, okay, and then we want that aft pressure aft when we finish the turn, so moving that pressure along the board to the tail of the board, okay. So really when you start or learn to snowboard, there's this big thing of trying to get that learner off the tail. We're always talking about getting forward, getting that weight forward to initiate the turn. What I found is that's really useful right at the beginning stages, or the learning steps if you like, but what I found is with what it creates is when we get into more of an intermediate rider, is the rider's really good at getting forward, but they can't get back along the length of the board. And that often leads to not being able to finish turns properly. It often leads to not having grip at the correct part of the turn. So what we're going to look at here is just that little bit of a breakdown from different ways of putting these inputs fore and aft into our riding. Cool, so in those last sort of turns there, obviously linking my turns toe to heel, heel to toe, I was really almost like emphasising, exaggerating some of my fore and aft movements. So it was that idea of really sort of driving forward to initiate, or driving onto the front of the board to initiate the turn. As I feel it steering down the hill, I'm coming centred for edge change, okay, then I'm driving onto the tail of the board to finish the turn. So it's that idea of forward, middle, back. Or you could have it in your head as rolling 1, 2, 3.
So that is the start of the turn, the middle of the turn and the end of the turn. We are moving the pressure along the length of the board from the nose to the tail. The terrain here is really mellow, so we're really just trying to demonstrate that movement pattern along the length of the board. We really use this amount in our riding on steeper terrain. This is where we want to drive through the turn and use more aft to tighten up the arc at the end of the turn.
Okay, cool. So what we're going to look at now is, we had that first style where we were moving quite a lot, weren't we, with the body along the length of the board. So we had that forward, middle, back idea. What I actually want to look at now is that idea of staying centered in the board. So we've got that centered look and feel. And all we're going to be doing to actually be, using this fore and aft is tightening and loosening muscle groups, okay, muscle fibers through our turn. So for example, if I'm making my fore movement, I'm going to be tightening these muscle fibers, making this front leg, or weight it and pressure it. I'm doing that now, I know you can't see it, but I'm pressuring all the energy through this, and I'm softening the muscle fibers and the energy here. So that's obviously where my fore pressure is. As I'm coming through my turn, I'm loosening this, I'm coming more centered obviously for edge change, and for my aft I'm doing the opposite. So where the back leg, we want to get that pressure to the tail, I'm really tightening these back foot or back leg muscle fibers, okay, and that's obviously exaggerating that aft. So again, with that centered look and feel, I'm doing my fore and aft, which you won't be able to see from the eye, but you've got to feel it and play around for it yourselves. Tightening, loosening, loosening, tightening. Let's give that a go here.
So this style of fore and aft is really a little bit more dormant. We're not being as active with the body and the hips, moving along the length from the nose to the tail and back. Here we're staying a little bit more centered, and we're just really using that style of tightening and loosening those muscle groups. So here we're just finishing off the session, and I'm actually using my hands just to indicate where the weight and pressure is on the board. So I'm really obviously transferring from the front to the middle to the back. Look there, it's fore and aft, fore and aft. Cool. So we're going to wrap things up there. Really hope you got some good inputs there. A few little bits you can think about. Some things you can implement into your own riding when you're next out on the mountain. Please hit that subscribe button, and we'll get some fresh content out to you soon. Let's go.